thank God it's Friday, right? I'm thinking about our fellow humans over in South Korea and North Korea. Now, if you look at the problem set that precedes my 3x3 Global Drills Worksheet, where the worksheet is designed to collaborate globally to fix those 8 problems. There's probably more, but those are 8 key problems, and you can subdivide them any way you want to. But take a look at that here in the next section. And I put the autonuclear annihilation, okay, 8th, number 8, kind of to drive home the point that, look, we have no business fighting ourselves or deterring ourselves. So I'm recording this before what I hope does not occur, but I'm afraid very well could happen, is that we lose soul. My recommendation to leaders who may be listening or citizens who may want to forward this on to leaders that they know in different parts of our world system is that why don't we use this nuclear crisis to say, look, North Korea, you want to be a part of exploring the moon, Mars, asteroids and comets? Let's figure out your capabilities and where they might be best useful for the world. I think that would build their prestige up. So let's get beyond the arms control, chicken fight, get into the 21st century finally. And that's my suggestion. So that philosophy, it actually has sound backing. It was the rationale for creating the international space stations with Space Station. It's really the NATO plus Japan space station plus Russia. If you just look at the history of the International Space Station, that was the rationale for basically to make sure we knew what the Russian capabilities were and to build their prestige up. And it's worked. It continues to work. So our relationship with Russia in space should be instructive to the world's relationship with North Korea, given their booster rockets that are being misused in a threatening manner towards the rest of Asia and in the west coast of the United States. Now, I'll go on to this next page, the worksheet itself, and instead of just going through all those acronyms, I mentioned them in a previous post video, and I'll list them down in the description section again. But basically, these are all the major space agencies that have launch capability themselves, with the exception of Arabsat and the Canadian Space Agency. Okay, so a lot of the text and the acronyms on this worksheet, which I will describe in the links below, kind of the easy part, really just like filling out a batting order for a baseball team, or an order of battle for a military, and think of, we have a global military against the brutal universe, and it's just about division of labor. So that's actually the simple part, those arrows and boxes. The harder concept is what I write on the bottom there, replacing Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs, of the United Nations, not as to replace the concept of those not as social obligations, but rather social inputs, or inputs into building human civilization across the solar system. So, like with the previous markup of the problem set, it should be obvious, if you look at this structure, that we need everybody's help. And so in that context, North Korea, in the situation that's playing out with North Korea, should appear to leaders as a misappropriation of resources. Namely, a significant subset of the Asian region of rocket power that's not being used to settle and spread humans across the solar system. So I think if we approach this nuclear crisis from that angle, and I invite people who agree with this to forward this to anyone that you know, this actually might take us in the right direction instead of potentially, in a worst case scenario, leading to a chain of events that leads to autonuclear annihilation. So that's my suggestion. The last thing I'll say here on the global space environment is many of you may know that the current debate, ongoing debate for several years now, has been with national space programs versus what some people call new space programs, or the private sector in space, and characterized mainly, most notably, by what Elon Musk is planning to do with his private sector Mars exploration settlement. My only point in bringing that up is the last post I had was on a abundance-based global currency, which I described, and I want to reiterate that. I imagine what Elon Musk and others like him, most notably Rick Tumlinson. I almost said Rex Tillerson. Interesting name. I am particularly impressed with his visions for space expansion. Okay, human space expansion across our solar system. So it's not just Elon Musk. There's a lot of synergies that I think are possible within what we call the private sector now. In the paradigm of abundance-based economics, everybody would kind of be together. It'd be a different paradigm. So there wouldn't be this public versus private. You can think about that both in terms of a dystopian or a utopian perspectives. And then, of course, somewhere in the middle is probably what will actually happen, if anything happens at all, if we're able to survive auto-nuclear annihilation. The next section here, I'll give a blank 3x3 Global Drills worksheet for you to consider and go at it yourself. This is not just about my ideas. This is about me stimulating positive ideas of your own in your own teams. And I'm totally free to come in and consult within the context of the current economic paradigm under which we all live right now. So on to New Horizons.